So OpenAI announced some sort of canvas feature, and my guess here is that this is about the same thing as Claude's artifacts. So let's take a look at this, see what it is, see if we can put it to use here. So over in ChatGPT.com, if you come down under models, I'm not certain why this is under models, but pick the GPT-4o with canvas. I'd assume you could use this with any of the models, but maybe not the newer models for some reason. And then for this particular example, I've got a challenge here that I've given to GPT-4o in the past. It hasn't done too well with it, but it's a challenge it should be able to iterate on. So basically it should come up with somewhat of a solution to begin with. And then if I can give it some guidance along the way, it should correct the solution, hopefully. So let's just see how it does here with this. Basically, I want it to write me a shell function here. And let me show you this actually. So if I hop onto one of my Linux servers here and I do a dpackage-l and then pass cups browse d, in this case, any package is fine, dumps out a list of files here. And this has always bothered me because it shows directories as prominently as it shows files. And I'd rather just see the files themselves. In fact, I'd rather just see this in like a tree-like view. And so that's the challenge here, is to take this output from dpackage and convert it into a tree view, something like this here, where I found a command that can do this as well, though it has some shortcomings. So this is what I'd like it to do. All right, so let's go ahead and start this up here. I'm not certain what it's going to do here. Okay, it started up some sort of, okay, yeah. All right, so this is definitely an artifact. Just like Claude splits the screen here, I assume I can drag this then too. Can I adjust this? Yeah, I can. It's kind of sensitive, but okay. Yeah, half and half is probably fine here. All right, so what do we have here? Let's just copy this, hop over here, and let's just test this out and see how it works here. I'll be surprised if this actually works, though. One thing I don't like is that it combined the two commands together, but I didn't tell it to split them apart, so that would be another thing we could do here. Okay, that is totally wrong. Let's do this here. I think one thing that might help is if I give it the output of the dpackage command here, the original output. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to copy that. I should probably give it what the command did. So here's what your initial command did. Let's go back and grab that too. Paste that in. All right, let's see what this can do. So essentially the idea is it's rewriting things over here, which I think is a really critical feature to have. Forever, I've been frustrated that I have to scroll forever. And if a conversation gets too long, I just can't find the parts that I care about, especially if I'm working on more than one file or chunk of code. All right. I should probably start to look at what it's generating here, especially if this doesn't work. Let's see what it does now. Okay, that's actually looking rather decent. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Sorry, this is going to be small, but I want to split the screen here. So on the right, I'm going to dump the output here so you can compare what's going on. And I screwed up the view over on the left. Let's do that again here. All right, so we've got Etsy. Looks like it's just repeating the Etsy there. AppArmor.d, user.bin. Okay, cups. Yeah, so it looks like it's kind of getting the tree right. It's just for some reason duplicating the name of the file. So I think we should just pick up what it did on the left here and pass it back to it and see what it can do with that. So I'll grab the output that it generated again, come back here and say, close. So here's your output. It looks like you're duplicating something. Let's just see what it can come up with now. Probably would be better if I actually give it some guidance on the code itself, but let's get it close enough if we can without really looking at the code, and then we'll do that. All right, over on the left, let's go ahead and paste in the new implementation, run it again here. Yeah, that didn't fix anything. All right, so let's just take a look and see what it's doing. Give me a moment here. I'm going to pause the video. All right, so a lot of this here is just checking the arguments to make sure you pass a package here and then making sure the package is installed. And then the meat of it is going to be right here. And great, it's using awk, which is something I'm definitely not accustomed to working with. Wait, what's this here? I can actually click on some code here. Looks like I can select code and ask it about it. That's cool. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we have it explain what it's doing here with awk? So can you explain what this does? All right, it's going to bring it over here. Looks like it has a reference to it, but it didn't show me the reference over here. That's interesting, which is fine. I think I've stepped through this now and understand this. So there is some vestigial stuff in here, and I think some mistakes were made. Basically, if I come over the command line, I think I can explain the algorithm this way better. So over on the right-hand side, when we print out the files that are involved, and maybe I should use something simpler than cups browse d where there's a lot of files. Let's do something like curl, which doesn't have as much. Same thing over here then. All right, so with curl here, each item that's printed out, the unique part is going to be the last element of the path. So in this case, if we print out user, and then we add indentation here, and then we print out bin, and then we print out curl. We've got our tree hierarchy there where you go user bin curl, and it works for multiple files in a directory too, like here. So, well, actually, we've already covered user here. That's already printed. So we would then nest into share, and then we go to doc, and then we go to curl, and then from here we go to readme and copyright. So if we just basically print out indentation through to the very last element of a line, we're going to get a tree view. So that was rather clever. However, it also seems to be printing out some items twice. You can see that here and here and here. And that's simply because inside of the awk here, there's two conditions that it checks. So let me explain the awk actually. So it's going to field separate on a slash. So it's going to break up each line by the slashes. So we have fields 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Up to NF, by the way, means the number of fields. So after we break up on the slash here, maybe I should zoom in just a smidge for you. I wish they would color the code here. That would actually help. All right, so for each line, we start out with no indent. And then we basically go through the number of fields. And essentially, we just build up a number of indent characters based on the number of fields until we get to that last character, which means they could easily have just rewritten this to perform multiplication based on the number of fields for a given row. So each row has a number of fields based on the number of delimiters. So this would have 2 fields, this would have 3 fields, etc. So it's essentially taking like 2 spaces and multiplying it by the number of fields up until that very last one. And that's why it's taking off 2 here at the front. It's basically subtracting 1 from the end of the number of fields. All right, so here then, when we get to the last field, which is NF, so when our loop gets to I, which is for the last item, then we go ahead and print out that last item here. And here's the format string. So the format string starts out with %s, and that refers to the indent that we built up. So that big long string of indent characters, 2 per field, basically. We print those out, and then we have the tree-like connector here. And then we print out the second string here, which is the item, which would be the last part of the path. So for example, that would be readme.debian or copyright here, or in the case of the directory curl here. And then this is where it gets into trouble. It's this second condition here where it then, I don't know why it's doing this, but this is what's duplicating the output. So this is actually producing the bogus output that we're seeing over here when we get the bin and the user, because it doesn't have the little tree connector icon. We just don't even need that part. So let's ask it to get rid of that. And let's see what that looks like. All right, so I'm actually just going to select the part here. And I'm going to say, this seems unnecessary, and adds the duplicated text in the output. See if it's smart enough just to get rid of that then. Oh, seriously? No, 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 no. This is not needed. Can I change this file here? Can I edit this? Oh my God, I can edit it. Can I undo? I can undo. There's Command Z for undo. That's friggin' cool. So I can just choose to delete this here. Let's go ahead and delete some more stuff here. It doesn't need the unique either. I can tell you that part. And I believe we don't even need the output field separator. Let's try this real quick here. Copy this. All right, so we're going to paste this in here. This is the updated version. I just want to test my hypothesis that those other vestigial components aren't needed. And there you go. You can see that actually looks pretty good right there. So now the only issue is I don't really like the tree connector. That's minor though. I mean, it's actually producing an accurate tree. I'd like it to maybe move to something that's Unicode that has like a little elbow. Let's ask it to do that. And I don't know what that Unicode character is. So let's just ask it here. Let's just say, can you make this into an elbow? Okay, replace it with that. Copy this, paste it. All right, that looks a lot better. All right, so I think I'm going to stop here for now. That's enough for today. One thing I did notice I didn't get into over on the right here, you probably can't see this behind me, but oops, don't mean to invoke that. Let's put the screen here like this and see if I can show you. There's like a little menu that pops up, and there's some features where you can add comments and add logs, and I'll come back to this later and maybe do a follow-up video. For now, I think that's a good introduction to artifacts. Definitely a worthwhile feature to have. I am definitely looking forward to this because I've loved using artifacts with Claude.